Welcome back, Knuckleheads. I'm Lupinefiasco. This is Daily FaB Gameplay, and today we are playing Kayo, Armed and Dangerous. For anyone who's new to the channel, welcome to the jungle. What we do here is review replays of games I played on the Talishar.net client days or weeks ago, after enough time has passed that I lose my bias and can more objectively judge the quality of my play. I will talk through turn cycles as if I were taking them now, walking you through my thought process for the line I would take, and compare that to the line I did take at the time of recording. We either learn from my mistakes or reinforce good play patterns, with the overall goal of tightening and optimizing our gameplay in the future to take down paper events and walk away with that shiny cardboard. If you'd like to check out the deck I'm playing here or try it for yourself on Talishar, there is a FaB deck link in the video description below. While you're down there, if you haven't already done so, please consider subscribing to my channel. It is the best free way to support me and to make sure that you see every new episode of Daily FaB Gameplay in your YouTube feed. I also have a Discord, a Blue Sky, and a Patreon, links to which are found in the video description. A Patreon sub at the Arc Lightning tier or higher will get you access to the matchup guide for this deck and for every one of my decks forever. Without further ado, let's jump right into the action. My YouTube analytics tell a really interesting story where many of you are apparently just fed up with watching Aurora content, and while I love playing the deck and I think she is still the undisputed best aggro deck in the format, I cannot fault you for wanting some variety. So over the next few weeks until the High Seas release, I will endeavor to bring you non-Aurora gameplay. We're going to start with Kayo. So there's been a lot of speculation that Kayo is actually good again now that Enigma has rotated out of the format and Guardian is starting to come back. I think that's just patently false. I'd like to believe that Kayo is actually good, but I think that there are a few things that make him pretty bad in the format. One being the prevalence of these big defense reaction fatigue decks. So people can look at the quote-unquote return of Guardian and say, well, Kayo has a really good matchup into Guardian, therefore Kayo will be good. Kayo had a really good matchup into Guardian. Kayo still does have a very good matchup into Victor, but notably Victor is not the Guardian people are excited about. People are excited about Jarl, and Jarl does a few things differently than Victor does. Namely, he gains life with counter blessings, and he plays more than 3 defense reactions. Kayo is really good against Guardians who send one really big attack in a turn because Kayo can block 6. Kayo isn't affected as much by Spinal Crush. Kayo has ways to play around CNC Pummel. Kayo has Scowling Fleshbag to intimidate away the Pummel. But Kayo does not have a way to dodge a deck that plays 6 to 9 defense reactions. Kayo does not have a way to deal with decks that gain 30 life over the course of the game. Aside from that, we have a big rise of Scepter Florian, who's playing 15 forward blocks in the deck. About a third to 1/2 of the deck, depending on the build, is defense reactions, and Kayo doesn't have a way to punish that. Kayo doesn't have a way to deal with 30 rune chants at a time. Kayo doesn't have a way to prevent himself from being fatigued. And then, of course, we have the Aurora matchup, where Kayo is just outclassed as an aggro deck. So I'm going to continue to try to make Kayo into something. I've already changed my public deck list so that we are playing Cast Bones again. We don't need to be able to pivot on a dime and kill a mirror guy. But I do think that a lot of the quote-unquote hype for Kayo in a Guardian meta is pretty overblown. And we're going to see in this game how Kayo just really isn't the best aggro deck anymore, and that is very apparent when dealing with a hero like Aurora. So we have our opening here. We did lose the die roll. We do have to go first. We at least get to set up. The play here is going to be Assault and Battery, pitch Riled Up, discard Send Packing to beat Chest. That'll make us a Might and an Agility. And then we get to Arsenal this Blood Rush Bellow. And usually the ability to send damage on turn 0 into Aurora is nice because we're checking her hand for non-blocks. Plays a lot of instants, plays a lot of 2 blocks. Maybe if we did send a Blood Rush Bellow here for something like a 4-card 15, we'd be able to push some damage. But we also have to deal with Face Purgatory, and I really don't want to go down an Arsenal if I can help it. So the hand that we draw into plays fine with Blood Rush Bellow, and I think we are still going to look to send Blood Rush Bellow this turn. But we do wish that we had some reds in this hand rather than just a handful of yellows. Now, if we didn't want to send the Blood Rush, we could pitch Blue Agile Windup, play a Wild Ride, draw a discard, see if we maybe draw into another blue that lets us attack with Mandible Claw, and then attack with our second yellow Wild Ride. It's unfortunately not a lot of damage. I do think that with the Blood Rush in Arsenal and the fact that this is a race, we should be looking to get that Blood Rush value early. We have an agility. If we draw into some good 2-cost reds, we can maybe put something together here. And that means that we're going to look to block with Sash this turn. I'm not going to block the Flittering Charge because I figure that if Aurora has the CLVs, she'll just have it. I don't need to give Savage Sash and Scabskin Leathers here to something that I'm anticipating but might not exist. We have an Entwined Lightning coming for 7. There is no Fuse. I'm guessing this is not Channel Lightning Valley. If it was, Aurora would have played it with the Flittering Charge. So this probably is just 7. I'm going to block with Sash here because I am anticipating using Sash on my next turn, and I want to make sure that I get my block value out of it. As far as our loadout, I should have touched on the armor. I am running Nolrune Gloves here because being able to prevent Aurora's arcane damage is particularly good, especially when we're dealing with Zap Clappers and Sigil of Suffering with Channel Lightning Valley. We are playing our Scowling Flesh Bag, our Savage Sash, and our Scabskin Leathers. The Flesh Bag we're looking to use at the start of an Arc Lightning turn or a Burn Up Shock. Just some turn where we can really either reduce incoming damage with the Fleshback block value, but also reduce incoming damage because we are preventing a Channel Lightning Valley or a Burn Up trigger. So we play our Blood Rush Bellow, we're going to pitch our blue, we're going to see what we can draw into. Discarding Wild Ride is a little unfortunate, and drawing 2 more blues is also unfortunate. We get to lead with Wild Ride here, waste our agility, but we do get to see what is on top of our deck. We draw into a yellow Bear Fangs, and again, we would love to see some reds on this turn. But at least now we do get to send 3 Chain Links. So we'll follow this Wild Ride with a Mandible Claw, pitching blue Agile Windup, and then sending Bear Fangs, pitching yellow Agile Windup. We get to float a resource, which can pay for the Zap Clappers. But really just seeing what Aurora is going to do with all this incoming damage. The fact that she isn't blocking anything makes me a little concerned. We do get a Shelterfin Storm out of her, blocking for 4 there. And we've got a Bear Fangs coming in. We're going to see what the draw discard is. It's the weakest link, so we've got Bear Fangs coming in for 9. Just a bit of an undo there. Opponent had to figure out how they needed to sequence Channel Lightning Valley in order to use the Zap Clappers. So we've got the Zap Clappers being blocked with, showing us a second Channel Lightning Valley in hand. We have a floating resource to pay for Arcane Barrier. And we're going to get hit by Sigil of Suffering. So really unfortunate for us that Aurora had the CLV Sigil on turn 2 when we only had 1 resource to pay for Arcane Barrier, but if we're talking about reasons why Kayo isn't good enough to beat Aurora most of the time, I mean, this is really Exhibit A. Kayo does not have a way to draw cards on his opponent's turn. Kayo does not have a way to play defense reactions, really, outside of Reckless Swing. Kayo is limited to trying to go above value on his turn, where Aurora can go above value on both players' turns. We've got an Arc Lightning coming out. We know that our opposing Aurora is holding a Channel Lightning Valley in hand, but the fact that she is not playing it here would indicate that she is probably going to pitch it rather than look to play it. She might also Arsenal it. So we can look to use our AB1 here. We can pitch Agile Windup, and then on our turn probably attack with pitch Send Packing and attack with Wild Ride or a Clash of Might, depending on how this turn goes. But I do think that pitching here is correct. We've got Aurora pitching a Skizzik to attack with Starfall. Now, I'm going to make a mistake and block with Fleshbag. We really should not, because we know that our opposing Aurora is holding a Channel Lightning Valley, which she cannot attack with. We should block this Starfall with Scabskin Leathers, and hold our flashback for a future turn. We could also alternately block with Clash of Might, make a Might, but this is 100% a mistake that I did not catch actually playing this game. We should not have blocked with Flashback there, we should have blocked with Leathers. Now that being said, we're still in a bad spot because either way, Aurora would have a Channel Lightning Valley on board and a Channel Lightning Valley in Arsenal, and the fact that we're running Northern Gloves rather than Apex Bonebreaker means that we are going to have a hard time blocking all of that incoming damage, especially if she rips another Arc Lightning. So, playing out the Clash of Might, I think this is right. Arsenaling the Wild Ride, especially when we have Savage Sash, is much more impactful than trying to make a Might by playing the Wild Ride and then hoping that we get to keep Clash of Might or at least trade it into something better. Now, of course, we do also now need to pitch to Sigil of Suffering. I don't want Aurora to get really 8 value out of that Sigil. But again, just really unfortunate that Aurora is able to continue to do that. Here's a situation where if we still had our flashback, we would be blocking the Starfall knowing that Aurora has a Channel Lightning Valley in Arsenal. We are going to block with the Leathers. But if we switched the two, it would be much more impactful for us if we were able to take a card away from Aurora when she plays this Channel Lightning Valley rather than letting her keep 2 cards. We are going to pitch to the Burn-Up Shock. I really don't want to let Aurora draw 2 cards off of that Burn-Up Shock, and we can't block with the Pulping anyway. We have a line now where we can attack with Swing Big, pitch Wrecker Romp, Arsenal Bear Fangs. We are still ahead on life, technically. Aurora does have quite a bit of armor that she hasn't used, and we are staring down what is effectively a 6-card hand. So we're definitely in trouble, but we're managing more or less okay. Notably, if we had blocked with the Flashback on our last turn, Aurora can play the Burn-Up Shock at instant speed. We have to pitch to prevent the Channel Lightning Valleys from drawing. We intimidate Aurora's last card, and then she just arsenals it anyway. So we aren't really in much of a better position in that case than we are now. And Aurora giving us the Face Purgatory to get rid of our Bear Fangs that we were going to arsenal, and going back up to a 4-card hand. Unfortunately, our hand does not block, and I am not confident in my ability to stop this Burn-Up or the Channel Lightning Valley, so we are just going to let Aurora have the draw. We've got an incoming Snatch, which we really cannot deal with unless we use Savage Sash, Leathers, and Mighty Windup, in which case we don't really have a turn. So we are just going to take a bunch of damage and hope that we can pitch Mighty Windup into Wild Ride, into Bear Fangs, and just try to make something happen. But at this point, I think we've lost the game. This is just so much incoming damage that we cannot deal with. The fact that Aurora even has the Lightning Press makes me feel like I was correct in not blocking the Snatch. We would have committed a lot of cards to blocking to get blown out anyway. Now here I think using Sash is a mistake. We should just pitch Mighty Windup, attack with Wild Ride, know that we will be able to pitch whatever we draw to attack with the second, whichever Bear Fangs we keep. And if we end up ripping a blue here, then we get to Mandible Claw as well. Now, of course, we are only sending a total of 18 damage. Aurora is at an effective 27. So we aren't even killing her. And then, again, 5-card hand that we probably can't very easily block. And we are going to get to keep our second Bear Fangs. That's a pretty lucky draw discard from us. But unfortunately, I think the Savage Sash was a bit wasted. We are just trying to push some damage. But the fact that Aurora is keeping all of these cards and has an Arc Lightning in Arsenal means that we are definitely just in trouble. This game is going to end very quickly. At this point, I think I end up conceding just based on I cannot live through this turn. We have our Blood Rush Bella that we are going to need to very likely block with. The Arc Lightning is enabling Aurora to just do so much with her turn. We've got a Snatch coming in for 7 with Go Again that we can try to block out, but that is going to put us down to 5. and literally any 4-power attack with an embodiment will force us to block with Assault and Battery, and we just don't have a play at this point. So a pretty quick concede. I got to admit that I was a bit tilted at the end of this game. I don't think that every Aurora game will go like that. This Aurora high-rolled us, let's be honest. 2 Channel Lightning Valleys by turn 5, 2 Sigil of Sufferings to go with them, the Zap Clappers to get the Channel Lightning Valley bonus, plus the Sigil of Suffering to go with it to take advantage of us only having 1 floating resource to pay for Arcane Barrier, drawing 2 Arc Lightnings, 3 Arc Lightnings in those first 5 turns, and we saw a Blood Rush Bellow. I guess we had the first one, but the second one came a little too late. So I do think we got a bit rolled this game, but this is what I'm saying. Kayo can't keep up with what Aurora is doing unless he also high rolls, or if she just draws these unplayable hands, and I think Aurora is just tuned enough to the point where she can't do that. So I'll have some games over the next week or so that maybe show how Kayo does into Florian, how he does into Jarl. I'm trying to tune the deck to beat those matchups, the ones that he is quote-unquote supposed to beat. But I'm going to be honest with you, going through the rest of ProQuest season, I really don't think that this is Kayo's time. If you're an aggro player, there is no reason to play the second best aggro deck. We should all be playing Aurora until she LLs. But, as I said, the children yearn for off-meta decks. That is what I will be sticking with until the release of High Seas, and I can really start diving into Marlin or Puffin, whichever ends up being the hot new aggro deck. So I hope you enjoyed this video. I hope maybe you learned something. It isn't like I played perfectly. We definitely made some mistakes. If you did enjoy this, be sure to assault and batter that like button. My comments are always open for any questions or feedback. If you haven't already done so, please consider a YouTube subscription. It's free. It helps me out a lot. I have a Blue Sky, a Discord, and a Patreon, links to which are in the video description below. If you'd like to conduct your own daily FaB gameplay analysis in real life, use my Codex Journal affiliate link and the code Lupine10, that's LUPINE10, at checkout to get a 10% discount on your order. I will be back next week with more daily FaB gameplay, and until then, take care.